The Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority has issued a weather hazard alert to all pilots and airline operators to take precautions with flight operations as the rainy season begins. This alert is based on the seasonal rainfall prediction released for the year 2018 by the Nigerian Meteorological Agency. The regulatory agency is asking pilots to exercise maximum restraint whenever adverse weather is observed, and they're insisting that pilots and flight crew members obtain adequate departure, en route, and destination weather information prior to flight operations. The NCAA has also asked operators to ensure necessary measures are put in place to manage the effects of flight delays or cancellations on their passengers. Aviation unions have rejected the sack of 37 staff school teachers at the Nigerian College of Aviation Technology in Zaria, Kaduna State, by the management of the institution. The unions, which comprise the National Union of Air Transport Employees, the Air Transport Services Senior Staff Association, and the National Association of Aircraft Pilots, have petitioned the federal government and called for the management to rescind the action to sack the teachers. In a joint petition signed by their general secretaries, they insist the college management was ill-advised and also demanded that due process be followed at all times when the management decides to discharge any of their members due to no fault of theirs. This is the Asaba airport, now totally shut to traffic by the Delta State government. Before now, the airport had faced a federal government downgrade following the Nigeria Civil Aviation Authority's several safety concerns over the ditches on the airport's runway, lack of the required strip, perimeter fencing, drainage, and lack of adequately trained technical personnel. The downgrade led to flight operations being limited to only -AQ400 aircraft or its equivalent, disrupting the intended plan of the Delta State government to ensure that the airport becomes the best in the South-South and Southeast regions. While the new contractor has taken over with quite an amount of work done, the Delta State Governor Ifeanyi Okowa had earlier expressed confidence that commercial activities will begin again in full at the Asaba International Airport in July this year.
We are almost achieving 1.1 beyond the fact that the drainage job and then the reclamation job is also being done at the same time with some other things being done. I think that is wonderful. We did ask that they complete in 4 months. They had actually requested that we give them 5 months, but from the work program that they have, which they are working committedly to meet, it appears that it may be possible for them to complete in 3.5 months, at least on the runway. And we were very pleased with that work program, and they're on course in that work program. And the quality of work is wonderful.
For the time being, as you can see, after the first stretch of the runway, after rehabilitating it and removing of the cracks and the failure, now we are doing a crack relief failure, so all the undulation on the runway will disappear. Then after we finish this one all over the 45-meter width, then they will be coming later on a final layer. You can call it wearing or ACSC technically here in the airport.
They're deducting their salaries for months now.
At the moment, the secretary to the state government has announced that the airport will be closed for 5 weeks with effect from the 9th of April 2018 to enable the complete resurfacing of the Trunk B part of the runway.
If you are familiar with the runway, if you are coming from the inner houses of it, has been resurfaced, from the initial houses has been resurfaced, but the middle has not been resurfaced. So what we are doing there, therefore, is the final push. We are completely resurfacing that section. So after 5 weeks, the airport will be open. Apart from that resurfacing, other minor jobs like the culvert and other ancillary facilities have been repaired. But by the end of the day, after 5 weeks, we have it on strong authority. The contractor has promised us, and we have no cause to disbelieve that. And at the end of 5 weeks, the airport will be open. And like I told you, the airport, the new Asaba International Airport, will be open and will compete with any other airport in Nigeria.
The state government is optimistic that this last phase of repairs will bring the airport back to full stream, thereby boosting the economy of the state.
The program winds down in Germany as the public sector union Verdi strike impacts on the aviation sector.
Thousands of passengers at 4 German airports, including the biggest hub, Frankfurt, were stranded on Tuesday, April the 10th, as ground staff and other public sector workers staged walkouts across the country to increase the pressure in a pay dispute. Lufthansa said on Monday it was cancelling more than 800 of its planned 1,600 flights on Tuesday, and Frankfurt airport operator Fraport also warned of disruptions. As well as Frankfurt, airports in Munich, Cologne and Bremen were hit. The industrial action also affected nurseries, rubbish collection services and swimming pools in several German states. The unions have planned to escalate the dispute if employers did not present an offer next week. The third round of talks starts on April the 15th. Verdi has called for a 6% pay rise for its 2.3 million public sector employees at the federal and local level. Germany's federal government and municipalities have rejected it, saying such an increase would force them to outsource jobs. The strikes, which started at 5 a.m. 300 GMT, were due to run until 6 p.m. 1600 GMT on Tuesday, the 10th of April. Europe's biggest economy is in robust shape with record tax revenues and a budget surplus. Rising employment, inflation-busting pay hikes and low borrowing costs are fueling a consumer-led upswing. In the industrial sector, 3.9 million workers agreed on a pay and flexible working hours deal in February that amounted to a rough 4% rise per year for 2018 and 2019. Neighbouring France has also faced industrial action in the last few weeks in protest against President Emmanuel Macron's planned reforms, with thousands of people stranded and others facing flight cancellations as Air France employees went on strike Saturday, April the 7th.
We're laughing about it, that France likes to strike. Yes, because it never happens in Sweden. You don't do it like this. No, we laugh and think they are a bit lazy.
While workers are striking over salary demands, the airline says 75% of its long-haul flights and 65% of its medium-haul flights to and from Paris's Charles de Gaulle would be operated. Some passengers stuck in Paris said the strikes were unjustified and blamed a sense of entitlement among French workers.
See, we already wasted 1 day here now, and we have to cancel my ticket and I have to book my new ticket. If I have to book new ticket within the short time, it's very expensive. And they are saying they cannot do anything about that. It's totally ridiculous.
An insurance company manager visiting Paris from Stockholm, whose flights into and out of Paris were both cancelled and rebooked, commented on the situation. Unions are calling for a wage increase of 6%, and Air France employees represented by 10 unions have 5 more strike days planned this month alone.
This is where we take a bow on the program. Let's have your feedback via our platforms. I'm Bukola Joketumbi. Thank you so much for watching.